I don't think most people want to live in a world where you can only post things that tech companies judge to be 100% true. I believe we should err on the side of greater expression. They're not my words, they're the words of Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg from 2019. More so, he went on to say in front of a speech, in front of Georgetown University students in 2019, this little gem: "I don't think it's right for a private company to censor politicians." We had Jack Dorsey of Twitter tweeting out to us that Twitter stands for freedom of expression. That was in 2015. Oh, how times have changed. How times have changed, where we now have these big tech social media conglomerates that are censoring political speech all over their platforms. And I, for one, do not think that that is right. That is an attack on democracy itself. That is an attack on free speech. And, you know, if you can censor and deplatform the leader of the free world, you can do it to anyone. There's an old saying, whoever takes down the king becomes the king. And these social media giants, these big tech corporations, are now way, way too powerful. They control basically the new town square, the new public forum, where a political discussion, where all sorts of discussion goes on. Now, of course, we should clamp down on illegal speech, on stuff that is harmful, that is defamatory, that's illegal, the content that is actual hate speech, not just speech that we hate, but actual hate speech. There is a difference. We should clamp down on all of those things that in a newspaper would not be allowed. But the problem is these big tech companies have gone far too far. They are now clamping down on political discussion, political commentary, political views, and they're also putting in the so-called fact checkers, where they come in and say, sort of give the impression that a fact that you have posted is wrong, when in fact it is a fact and it is correct. They do that by saying it's missing context. Tell me which news story isn't missing some form of context. So this is a very, very big problem for democracy, a very big problem. And look, unlike other speakers in this place, I do not wish to censor more these big tech companies. I do not wish to censor what people are saying on social media platforms. But I will concede this: they're actually now no longer platforms. They're publications. They're censoring speech that is lawful speech on what was once platforms, which is now basically their online publication. And so that is why, if these big tech companies don't bring themselves back to the point of being social media free speech platforms as they originally intended, that they probably should, as the member for Mallee has suggested, be liable for defamation. Because they basically become publications now, publications which edit. They have editorial guidelines. They call them community standards, but now they're basically editorial guidelines. They're major publications which have a whole heap of volunteer contributors. And so if that's the model that they want, then that is what they're going to have to live with, and defamation and their liability for defamation is going to have to be part of their business as usual. Now, I wish, though, that they would just get back to what they were originally intended to be: platforms for free expression. I don't think we're going to see that, but I've got to say that this area, whether we make these social media giants go back to being platforms, or whether we say, well, you're now acting like publications and so you should be liable for defamation, this should be the focus of government, not simply having legislation which makes these big tech companies pay big news companies. I don't want to see big tech corporations paying big news media corporations. What I want to see is legislation here protecting the little guy, protecting the average Australian, and that is what this motion is calling for.